Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Newsroom. I'm your host Khalid Ba. Today is the 29th of May 2025. These are the stories that we will be highlighting during the course of the show. We'll begin with Modi's war hysteria. Whether it be all that has ensued following the Rafale jet failure, and of course how the Indian government continues to deny the fact that their jets have been down, and even not allow the people from the French company Dassault to come and inspect the Rafale jets. There is a deliberate attempt to hide the reality or the facts regarding what happened as a result of Operation Bunyanu Marsoos and Marka-e-Haq. Then there is the war-driven policies that are going on in India that are also triggering a humanitarian crisis within India. We also have the uranium mining crisis that is happening. We all know how India is heavily involved in smuggling uranium, and there have been 18 such cases that have been found recently. But now this mining crisis of uranium is also resulting into severe health repercussions within India. There is also other different factors. The Modi Godi media that is also trying to hide things, but there is now a certain section of that very media that is criticizing Modi's failed policies. What is all of this going to lead to? More of such botched reactions, or a final realization of the reality of the situation? This is going to be our first segment. Our second story, ladies and gentlemen, concerns the International Day of United Nations Peacekeepers that is being observed across the world today. Two of Pakistani peacekeepers are going to be honored posthumously today as well, to of course to give homage to their sacrifices for peacekeeping. Sepoy Muhammad Tariq, Havaldar Ehsanullah Khan, who have both served with the UN Interim Security Force. Different aspects of peacekeeping force, Pakistan's contribution to UN peacekeeping, and how Pakistan has always strived for peace rather than war, unlike certain countries across the world. Then finally we'll be talking about Elon Musk, that has now left the White House but says that the Doge will continue. And of course there's apparently, this is what sources are saying, that there are certain differences of opinion when it comes to the US government officials and Elon Musk. But will it create a bigger rift, or will the connection continue to remain in the form of Doge, is what time will tell. This is the lineup for today. Let's begin with our first segment, and our first segment concerns Narendra Modi's war hysteria. There are so many aspects to this war hysteria that we could go for hours to talk about that. Nevertheless, we've been joined by three guests to discuss that in detail. Major General Tariq Rashid Khan Sahab, he's a defense analyst, joins us in the studio. Thank you very much, sir, to have joined us. We have also been joined by Dr. Salma Malik, who's a foreign affairs expert, joins us in the studio. Thank you very much, Dr. Salma, to have joined us. Ambassador G.R. Baloch Sahab joins us online as well, sir. Thank you very much to have joined us as well. We'll begin with you, General Sahab. Let's begin with the hysteria that is exposed by the failure of the Rafale jets. How does this failure of this $288 million Rafale jets against Pakistan's PL-15 missile expose the hollow core of Narendra Modi's war propaganda and the overhyped defense build-up?
You see, you cannot hide in the world of digital technology. You cannot hide from the world the harsh realities like downing of three Rafale jets, one MiG-24, MiG-2000, Su-30, MiG-29, Su-30 and MiG-29 also. You see, there are satellites, military satellites, which give you 24/7 what is happening in the, for example, under them in this world. And then there are AWACS which were flying at that time. They have a digital signatures. And then the aircraft which shot down these 6 Indian aircrafts, they also get a signal once somebody is hit. And then there is a Martin Baker who manufactures these ejection seats, and they have said, if you go on their website, they have said soon after this, once this battle took place between Pakistan and Indian Air Force, that 4 Martin Baker seats were used to ejection by pilots. So Modi is a liar, and confirmed liar, hypocrite, and just he can do warmongering, which he is shamelessly doing even today. But he cannot hide the facts even though. So you just imagine the French have arrived in India. Why have they arrived in India? If there was no Rafale jet was shot down, are they mad? They also know there are three, and they have given a statement that this is the first time in last 2 decades the Rafale has been used in the world, that Rafale has been shot down. So and there have been very hot exchange of words between French officials and Indians, people who are dealing with it, and they are not showing them. And now India is blaming them that you did not give us the complete code which was used to synchronize various avionics. So now the blame game is continuing it.
All right.
So the world is seeing the lie of India overwhelmingly, and India is at its lowest as far internationally isolation is concerned and division with India is concerned.
But the fact is that when it comes to Narendra Modi and his war mongering and jingoism, that continues, whether it be his address in Gujarat or whether it be his narrative that is also being built up by the Godi media.
Just imagine that today is 1 month and 7 days have passed.
Yes.
And he has not been able to advance a single proof that Pakistan or some foreign element was involved in Pahalgam incidents. And his opposition and the sane voices are saying that you claim that Pakistan was involved, you waged a war on Pakistan, you got badly defeated, and still you have not been able to give us any proof to us or to population, people of India.
That is so true. Dr. Salma, Modi's aggressive military posture, is it nothing more than a dangerous theatric to divert public attention, domestic attention from what is actually happening?
Absolutely it is, but at the same time, Umar, the thing is that the type of hype that he has created, that is so dangerous, especially for a state which is one of the most populous countries of the world, one. Number two, it has a very high poor to rich disparity. The globe's 1% rich people live in India. Yet the fact is that the most poor also live in India globally. India has a lot of what should we say, clout or kind of a position in the world for various reasons, good or bad. Now you have this country which has so many things to talk about, and then you have a leader leading this country who is building his reputation, who is building his country's future on these false theatrics, false flag operations, creating a media hype, having his lapdog media, the Godi media, doing whatever they are doing at the cost of not only their own people, but capturing 1/5 of the globe's humanity hostage to his whims and fancies. You see what he has done through Pahalgam, and then after. Prior to this, he would keep talking about it and do in small measures. But this time, he just went all out because he was in a commitment trap. He didn't really know how to come out of this commitment trap. And he brought the world to a brink of nuclear holocaust. The only factor that prevented a nuclear holocaust from breaking out was Pakistan. The responsibility, the restraint that Pakistan showed, we went all out conventional, we enhanced our conventional response spectrum. We did not even think of going for the nuclear option. There was this talk about having an NCA meeting which was immediately called back, and we were all out to explore only and only conventional response. And the person who was hell bent on destroying the world was Narendra Modi. So it's not only he himself or him doing that to Pakistan. He is very willing to put his entire country up for sacrifice just to uplift his stature, the stature of those saffronized, frenzied fundos who are, God knows, out to prove what to whom. Because when there are no Indians left to rule, then who is going to show it to?
To what end? You know, that is my question. To what end?
Exactly.
G.R. Balot Saab, are you with us?
Assalamualaikum. Assalamualaikum ji.
Assalam. Sir, I'd like to understand, will New Delhi's military planners and Narendra Modi ever admit to their strategic miscalculations rather than resorting to this war hysteria that we continue to see?
Yes, Bismillah. Basically, I have analyzed their aggression and our response. You must have been discussing for now 7 days, and so is the world. So what comes out, the sum total is that Modi's government, our regime, I would say, basically made three strategic miscalculations. Miscalculation number one, it was its own capacity to fight a war. And war is not a rhetoric. War is not a product of a propaganda echo chamber or some other notion or illusion. It's a very serious business. So I think they lack basically the thinking, that strategic thinking which goes for a war to be fought, number one. Number two, and the war, which is without any objective, without any, in fact, reason. There was no reason at all for this war. I mean, that's what now the world is convinced. That is how you don't fight, if at all there was an issue of terrorism. You don't go and attack a neighbor, which is a nuclear capable country, which has a formidable military. So there was a big deficit of strategic thinking. And then connected with that was what I said earlier, that Modi miscalculated completely its own armed forces, over-reliance on borrowed technology without training their own manpower. In fact, what I'm going to quote you, this was a Indian Air Force officer who retired and was teaching it at the Chicago University. And he said that in 4 years in their academies, he said that I am disappointed to see that when they come out, they're not fully trained. One, then they don't have even manpower. Their pilot to aircraft pilot ratio is 1.5, which is less than the standard acceptable. And even if those were there, but they were not trained enough. And then there were several other technical things which I don't want to go into it, that now they have the hodgepodge of weapons from Russia, from France, from their own US, Israel, and all of it. So there was no kind of a bigger game in front of them. Then second miscalculation was Pakistan's response. Pakistan has a battle-hardened army. It has the wisdom, it has the strategic thinking, it knows the enemy, it knows its own capacity. And our pilots, our soldiers, our gunners, our missile operators, our radar operators, they have a commitment, they have a cause. They have no animosity. You see, that problem is the entire edifice of BJP regime is based on hatred, on animosity, and on some kind of a communal thinking, which is very narrow. It cannot sort of encapsulate the bigger picture of a warist. And the third and the most crucial was response of the world. India thought that perhaps now they are the members of the Quad, they are member of that, all of those names that you take it. Obviously, they were part of that as part of a bigger scheme and bigger global game which was going on. And they played along with it without being really ready for it. But and also that since the entire their war of aggression was based on a false narrative, and that is the crux of it. And this is what I think. I'm again quoting their own opposition leader Rahul. I think he said that war is not a theater performance. Yes, it is not. It is the fact that it's not. Well, they started to believe in that. So these three major flaws, these major miscalculations resulted in this humiliating defeat from India. And of course, good for us. Allah is great that gave us this victory. And because of one, our commitment, our cause, our war objective, our competence, and our national resolve. Two, protect and defend our national sovereignty, our air, our land, our sea. Yes, Mr. Omar.
Of course, we have shown that, G.R. Balod Saab on the 10th through Operation Bunyal Mahsoos. General Tariq Saab, in a recent interview, former Indian Foreign Minister Yashwant Sinha reveals many things, including the fact that attacks like Pahalgam and Pulwama have always occurred, and he says it, not us, around Indian elections. Yeah. He said Pulwama happened around the major Indian elections, Pahalgam false flag operation happened before the elections in Bihar. And there is a deliberate policy, of course, to have these surgical strikes. He even mentioned the Uri attack, and he said that this was used to justify surgical strikes, and they were politically exploited. Will such political exploitation continue? Doesn't the Indian public realize the reality of what Modi stands for?
Yeah, before answering specifically this question, I like to add a few comments what just has been discussed. It has been said that India is the poverty indication of India. The only 1% rich lives there. There's the international report that 60% population of India for a daily meal, they are dependent on the central government. A country whose 60% population cannot have a meal, one meal of a day, they are, Modi, their Prime Minister, they have selected such an idiot who is warmongering and further enhance their difficulty for them. And then a comment about that Pakistan used his all conventional potential war. Pakistan did not choose that. It was just a I would say not even 5% of that, because we did not resort to any land operations, which comes in the conventional domain. We just resorted to firing of our firepower, which included missiles and artillery shelling. And just imagine, 6 times larger army or country than us, they could not respond, could not fire a bullet in response. That was the effect, psychological effect and dominance of Pakistan and Pakistan military.
All right.
Coming over to Yashwant Sinha, these are sane voices. Even their ex-army chief who retired last year, and he said that it is not a Bollywood movie. War is not a Bollywood movie which you see and enjoy. War has very harsh realities. Ask those persons whose loved ones, kith and kin, have died in the wars. It brings misery to the people. If we have disputes with Pakistan, they need to be resolved by negotiation, not by war. So sane voices like Yashwant Sinha, the ex-army chief, even the sitting military commander were guiding him. It was Modi who was bent upon, comments were also made that Modi, for example, did not have any objective. He had objective, objective to win election of Bihar, objective to divert the attention of his people from inner problem of poverty, division, freedom movements. He wanted to divert their attention to on Pakistan.
They always use the Pakistan card. They have always been using it, and I think this is not going to be the last time that they will use it.
Yes, but as its saying goes, that you can fool some of the person some of the time.
But you can't fool everybody all the time.
So Modi need to realize this.
All right. Dr. Salma, 18 documented nuclear theft incidents, massive quantities of uranium found outside secure zones in India. Then we've got a humanitarian disaster in Jadugoda where children are born disabled due to uranium exposure. Doesn't this expose a dangerous human cost and a dangerous strategic cost of Modi's unchecked nuclear ambitions?
Absolutely it does. But you see, this is not something that has happened today. The trajectory of the world system is such that despite all of these news coming out about, especially about the nuclear theft, some of those news made major global headlines. The entire globe remains complacent about India's performance. And if there is a small bit of, I think I shouldn't really say any glitch on our safety and security, because we have immaculate safety and security record when it comes to the nuclear aspect, and we have been appreciated worldwide for institutionalizing the best safety and security mechanism when it comes to our strategic assets. Yet the fact is that even now the Indian Disinformation Brigade had been proactive about radiological leakages from Noor Khan base, from certain mountains that they keep talking about, and all of that has proven to be incorrect. But they have this way of spreading misinformation and suppressing their own genuine things. You see, a lot of these cases, especially children being born with disabilities, uranium mines being mined in very unhealthy and incorrect fashion. All of these are happening in the peripheries, and those are people who are really not part of the meta narrative. They are not represented, they are suppressed, they are killed, they are willfully, they are just statistics, and at times they don't even fall into the line of statistics. So that makes it very easy for this Modi and his minions to totally disregard and hide all this critical information. And yet at the same time we also have the international media that has always and always played in Modi's hands. And the good part of this particular episode, where there were so many things at risk, and mashallah, Allah allowed us this opportunity to not only be victorious but live to see another day, was the fact that many things have been exposed to the world.
True.
Many of those things coming out of India's blatant lies, how its media has always performed, and now it is Pakistan's task to very rationally, very logically spread the right information to all global capitals, regardless of their size, their position and strategic posturing. If this is a dot of an island, Pakistanis should be there. If it is a major power like the US, there should be a Pakistani delegation, and this is something I have iterated from your platform many times. We had to indulge in very aggressive diplomacy as of the 22nd April's evening, to date and later. India is doing that, and it's doing that with a lot of confidence, because they know that they can lie endlessly, shamelessly and get away with it.
And they continue to do that, and the way they do that is, you know, unimaginable for a journalist like myself.
Absolutely.
I mean, to say the least. Last question as far as this segment is concerned, Jia Baloch Saab, Indian media's dissemination of unverified information has added to their warmongering and jingoism. Is there any means to stop it in your point of view? Because the way they move about it, it's not only creating a hysteria within the public in India, but also creating a very, very negative perception of the ongoing since the false flag operation in Pahalgam.
Yeah, I think I would take it in a different angle this one. That in my view, India now, a country of 1.4 billion people, majority being poor, has a military capability, has an army of 1.4 billion people, soldiers, and is surrounded by, I think, about 6 or 7 smaller countries in size in terms of that. And because of its like central geographical location, and when you have a leadership which does not think through when thinking of or deciding about the questions of peace and war, then that very leadership, that very regime becomes a threat, first of all, for those 1.4 billion people living in India. And then the bigger region, the South Asia region, which probably would be, say, if you add up Pakistan, Bangladesh, and all other, we are close to being about 2 billion people. So this regime, which is kind of, which feeds on hatred, which feeds on misinformation by itself, has become a threat in my view for the Indian people, for South Asian region, and in the, I think, for the globe in general, because of having the weapon of ultimate destruction, that's nuclear. So I think the world has to be told in these terms that while we can tackle, if they want to be aggressive, we'll again come back to them the way they are. But now I think the question is much bigger, that they are a threat for the peace and security in the region and in the world. And that is the kind of talking point. If I was there somewhere, I would say, and I really would like this to be reiterated. And it's based on logic, it's based on rationale, that in India, under the communal and a regime which is kind of another incarnation of RSS, is dangerous for the people of India. And now I have been saying this, that Indian sane thinking people, the community which is really thinks and wants their secure future in India, must get rid of this fascist regime of of Modi and his coterie of 4 or 5 people who are there, who are controlling. In fact, there are reports now that even the army itself has become averse to communalizing the institution, even communalizing the strategic thinking. You see, in terms of when you're talking of this, the security of their country, now they are looking at the security of India from their own winning the elections. I mean, what more dangerous could be than this very fact and this very aspect, which not you and me are saying, but their former defense minister is saying that. So I think Indian public has.
The fact is, the fact is that there are certain sane elements within the Indian media as well. I just cite Karan Thapar, who has interviewed many people. Ajay Sani, for one, and Ajay Sani also said that Indian media was exaggerating and spreading propaganda. He termed Operation Sindoor a political show that revealed India's failure. So there are sane voices as well. We'll end this segment here. Let's come to our second story, and that concerns UN Peacekeeping Day that is being observed across the world, including in Pakistan. Today, the United Nations headquarters is observing this international day, and the theme of this day is the future of peacekeeping. This International Peacekeeping Day is being observed since 1948, when the historic decision was made to deploy military observers to the Middle East to supervise the implementation of the Israeli-Arab armistice agreements. And look where we are today as far as the Middle East is also concerned. Some 68,000 women and men serve as military, police and civilian personnel in 11 conflict zones across Africa, Asia, Europe and the Middle East. 119 countries are contributing to this peacekeeping force, and Pakistan is the 5th largest contributor of uniformed personnel to UN peacekeeping. We continue to be joined by our 3 eminent guests. My first question will of course go to Major General Tariq Rashid Khan Saab. Why was UN peacekeeping initiated in 1948, and how, in your point of view, has its mandate evolved over the last 77 years?
You see, 1948, they had established the United Nations Truce Support Organization because of the Israel and Arabs conflict. And right from that time, Pakistan is involved in one way or other in the United Nations peacekeeping operation. And you said at the moment Pakistan is the 5th largest contributor, but there have been times from 2000 to 2013, Pakistan was the largest contributor of UN peacekeeping forces in the world. We had from 9,000, around 9 to 10,000, our personnel from military, from police at that time was serving and still we have sizable, I think over 2,000 people are still serving on the United Nations peacekeeping operations. In total, we have participated in send our troops in over, I think, 29 countries and participated in 70 UN peacekeeping operations. And so Pakistan's commitment, dedication and services have been lauded and appreciated by not less than even United Nations Security Council General Secretary. And I may like to narrate you a story. Once I was in National Defense University on the faculty, I visited Poland and also and the US. So once I went to the Poland, I met with one of the 3-star and he said, your military is amazing. And I happen to serve them on United Nations mission. So Brigadier General, if I have an option to go to war and if it's my wish, I would like to fight war with Pakistani troops. I would like to have them on my side. And same remarks were made by one of the American generals who were there in the Somalia. He said, if I have an option to go to war, if I have to go to war, I would like to go to with Pakistani troops. Of course. So that is the dedication,
the legacy,
which we carry, and it's a glimpse of that we have shown it to India in the recent conflict.
And we'll continue to show it whenever the opportunity arises.
Definitely.
Dr. Salma, in today's multipolar world, and I'm sure we have discussed in many a program before that, with rising regional conflicts, how relevant and effective is the UN peacekeeping as a tool of global conflict resolution?
Oh, I think it's very effective. It's not only the military, it's the entire security sector which is now part of the peacekeeping operations. We also have women in uniform, women out of uniform who are working as lawyers or any other capacity but associated with the security sector. So it's not only men in uniform but also young women who leave very young kids back home and they serve at the UN setup. And wherever they go to these conflict areas, they bring a very different flavor to conflict avoidance and peacekeeping. They are highly instrumental in bridging that gap between the civilians, talking to the women, going to the grassroots, bringing that empathy, that softness to this entire regime. Pakistani peacekeepers have also been always appreciated for abiding very strongly to the international humanitarian law and the law of armed conflict and all, and that has been something which is a major hallmark, and we have been time and about appreciated for that. But when it comes to the women in peacekeeping missions and the overall performance of these personnel in the peacekeeping mission, they have done tremendous job, especially in the African conflict zones, and that is something beyond imagination. We have been part of many Hollywood movies as well,
Yes.
but unfortunately
Black Hawk
because
Down.
Black Hawk Down, that they have to show the white man's complex is so severe there that we were on the margins, but actually the Black Hawk Down movie wouldn't have happened if it were not for the Pakistanis and their role in that. But I think we need to very strongly put our story forward as well. We do that through our the ISPR popular media, but I think there is a need for furthermore perception building in this regard. If you're looking at the region is a bit too complex and complicated to have a regional actor as a peacekeeper in any of the regional conflicts. Although it would be an ideal situation to have a Pakistani peacekeeping force or advisory group talking to any of the regional conflict areas, but hey, the story is very simple. All of the regional conflicts are somehow motivated and instigated by India, so that will again leave the poor country aside and it will become an India-Pakistan battleground.
Agreed.
So that cannot really work, but the lessons and the experience we gain from peacekeeping comes very handy when it comes to rendering any friendly support to countries such as Sri Lanka, Bangladesh. We work together in these conflict areas, and there is a camaraderie that is built through having these brotherly peacekeeping missions, working together, joining forces, joining hands, wearing the blue beret and doing what is required. There they are not actually, I mean, they are carrying their country flags, but they are under a blue helmet.
True.
And that is what brings that fraternity very strongly alive.
119 countries, that's a huge
Absolutely.
amount of contributors to the UN peacekeeping force. G.R. Balot Saab, Sepoy Muhammad Tariq and Havaldar Ehsanullah Khan are going to be recognized posthumously with the DAG Hammarskjöld Medal. A, what does it symbolize as far as Pakistan and its armed forces is concerned? Secondly, with Pakistan being the 5th largest troop contributor to UN peacekeeping, what does this reflect as far as Pakistan's commitment to international peace and security is concerned?
Yeah, I think I was lucky to be at the Pakistan mission to the UN. So I think Pakistan's presence there, which is again, I would endorse what Madam was saying, that we really don't, not only that we underplay, but we need to play properly, not overplay, not underplay. There's so much that Pakistan really contributes towards the peace and security of the world, including sending our blue berets there to be part of the blue beret of the UN. And in fact, these blue berets are the symbols of the very purpose for which the UN was formed. That is the humanitarian, the peace and stabilization, and a world which is free of. So I think the very shahadat of our two soldiers shows the dedication of our soldiers, the dedication of our troops, and in fact there are so many recorded kind of stories where our soldiers have gone out of the way to serve the countries and communities which were affected by the troops. I think they were they embraced shahadat when they were transporting the wounded. Just one more aspect that I want to highlight the blue berets, that it's just not keeping the two armies apart, but their mission now has expanded further. That is to bridge the gap, which might be because of the absence of any civic facilities in the conflict zones. Say the bridge is broken, so there is some problem with the water well, which was under conflict. There are people who are wounded because the weapons or the whatever happening in the war zone. So and I think that is why I think our medical officers have gone, and especially the lady medical officers have gone, engineers have gone. So I think Pakistan's army has again made us proud by serving the purposes of the United Nations. And it is one of the purposes of the United Nations is to be the human face of this globe and of this organization. And we are so proud of it. And I think they being decorated is a medal on the chest of the entire Pakistani nation. Yes, Mr.
That is so true. General Tariq Rashid Khan Saab, how do you contrast Pakistan's peacekeeping role with India's ongoing occupation of Kashmir, its brutal repression and denial of the UN mandated resolutions, and also Israel, who was the initial focus of the first UN peacekeeping mission in 1948, is continuing to openly violate international law in Gaza? How do you also see this contradiction when it comes to UN peacekeeping in this global peacekeeping narrative?
I think India and Israel, they have one thing in common. They are these two countries which have violated and not paid that required respect to the United Nations Security Council.
True.
Pakistan, whether it's a UN charter, whether it is the United Nations Security Council resolution, whether it is international law, Pakistan has always held high that and abided by that. There is not a single instance once Pakistan has violated any United Nations Security Council resolution or international law or anything which is written in the UN charter. These are the two countries. And Modi has let down Israel also by using their, on a lighter side, their UAVs, their drones which they sent to us, and we shot them down.
And look
badly.
what happened to those drones.
We shot them down badly. So Modi has not brought a bad name not only to Russia and also the French. He has also brought bad name to Israel also. I think world need to realize this, that these are two countries and they need to be, world need to get together against them, and whatever they propagate, one needs to question them. I think both have been isolated. There is not a single country other than US which is standing with Israel. But Trump is also distancing himself from
yes,
the
that we are also seeing.
because he came to the Middle East, he did not visit Israel. And then once Netanyahu visited him last time, he did not pay him much attention. And similarly India, not a single country of the world is now standing or buying what Modi is saying. So this is the high time the internal people of India, they realize this and they select some sane voice. I think Modi's time is short, and he will be, I think, because he has lost war. Any leader who loses war at a national level has no moral right to continue.
All right. Jia Walod Sahab, this is my last question to you. How can the UN and international community, in your point of view, reconcile their peacekeeping deals with the war-mongering actions of states such as India and Israel?
I think, as we always say, that truth is the first casualty of war, and that we saw it, although ultimately it comes around. So I think what we need to do is the world needs to sort of expose the lies of the two regimes, that is Israel and India. The world needs to sanction them for gross human rights violations. India for its human rights violation of Kashmiris, and Israel for its violation of the basic human rights of the Palestinians in Gaza and West Bank and Golan Heights. And third, most important, I think what these two countries are trying to do is to write a distorted kind of, I would say, distorted form of the global order, where the bullies, they rule, where the unilateralism is the norm. So I think the world has to come together to stand in front of these bullies, that after all, being the human sort of civilization, being part of the human civilization, the global order has to be rule-based. The global order has to be based on human values, basic human values. You can't do it. You blow up homes in Kashmir, you blow up homes in Gaza, you starve people in Gaza, you deprive the people in Kashmir of their livelihood, you do ethnic cleansing in Gaza by killing them, by bringing in the Jewish people. Same thing you do it. Modi does it in Kashmir. It's a ethnic cleansing. So I think there has to be in our case in the human rights violations on both these leaders. They need to stand at trial. Of course, there is a warrant now against Netanyahu, but I am just looking for the day when Modi will stand at trial for a really humanitarian violation. In fact, he has already done it.
Happens at that we will see whether that happens in one day, but it isn't happening anytime soon as far as I see. Jia Balo Sahab, thank you very much to have joined us. Salma, this year's theme is future of peacekeeping. How do you interpret this theme when you look at what is happening in the Middle East, when you look at our eastern neighbor, and also the modern hybrid warfare and emerging threats that the world is facing?
With great difficulty. I think it's a huge challenge for peacekeepers and the peacekeeping program by itself. Also the fact that the UN by itself is being undermined by the very same people who talk about upholding the principles of UN and of course its tenets, which includes peacekeeping as one of the basic tenets. The US willfully violates the norms, India willfully violates the norms, Israel does that, everyone looks the other way. So that means that it's a very unequal world where norms, humanity, international law, ethics, morality, all are selective and selectively applied. But at the same time, to give it a positive spin, I would say that still there is a lot of space in the world where the traditional conflict, boots on ground, is taking place, where we have, I mean, if you look at the world at this particular point, here you had this 3.5 days war, where you had a very limited boots on ground warfare or battle space, and everything was happening in the skies, and it was decided as such, right? The same happened in 2019, a couple of hours, and it was decided who won, who lost. So I mean, the way our Gen Z is so gung-ho about the shots and the reels, the wars of today have also become shots and reels specific. But at the same time, you have very much in the same space a ground based war taking place, the Kharji factors, the ISIS, all of these who are trying to undermine the status, the sovereignty of the states. So there you need the boots on ground presence. You have wars taking place across the border. You have several shades of that happening. So the relevance of peacekeepers of course does not diminish, but the challenges for the peacekeepers is becoming very, very difficult and very high. At the same time, you also have an increase in child soldiering, girl child soldiering. You have trafficking, you have smuggling, becoming part of the challenges the peacekeepers have to deal with. You also have the issues where peacekeepers globally have been compromised, and then you have to uphold your reputation as a country. You have to perform very stellar to actually maintain the status. And for countries such as Pakistan, it's a big challenge because we have been the top contributors, now amongst the first few. And we really want to maintain a reputation.
And inshallah we'll maintain that reputation, Dr. Salma. The fact is that we have a certain dignity about whatever we do, which includes UN peacekeeping, and we'll continue to uphold that dignity with the utmost grace that we have shown since we became part of the UN peacekeeping. Thank you very much, General Tariq Sahab. Thank you very much, Dr. Salma Malik, and of course we thank Jia Balo Sahab. Last story before we move is around Elon Musk, who has left the White House but apparently says Dodge is going to continue. He says he's leaving the Trump administration after helping lead a tumultuous drive to shrink the size of the US government that saw thousands of federal jobs that were axed. His role was temporary. His exit is not unexpected, but it comes a day after he did criticize the legislative centerpiece of Trump's agenda. So whether it is as a result of that or is there more to it, the fact is that apparently he still continues to remain part of Doge directly or indirectly, but he is going to leave the White House. A lot of protests are also happening when it concerns is his company Tesla, because they of course are criticizing whatever has happened as far as the company is concerned. But you know, a lot of things are happening. I would leave it to the Americans to decide whether it's for the better or for the worse. Nevertheless, this comes as a strange new chapter with Elon Musk leaving, because he contributed a lot to the campaign of Donald Trump, and of course post his presidency as well, when he became president of the US. With that, ladies and gentlemen, we come to an end of today's newsroom. See you inshallah tomorrow with new stories, segments that pertain to us, you in Pakistan. Stay safe. Allah Hafiz.